President Trump is fed up with the radical left's efforts to subvert the integrity of the upcoming November election by calling for mail-in voting and, are you ready, ballot drop boxes. The president today tweeted, quote, "Get rid of ballot harvesting. It's rampant with fraud. The USA must have voter ID, the only way to get an honest count." And he's right. Very right. And breaking news, President Obama wants 3.5 million DACA recipients. Are you ready? It's been so long since we've heard from President Obama on this. He wants the president to give them amnesty during the Wuhan virus pandemic. Don't you see what a great cover it is for Obama to make this call? The president tweeted, quote, "Dreamers have contributed so much," the former president, saying, "Dreamers have contributed so much to our country. They're risking their lives fighting on the front lines of this pandemic. They deserve permanent immigration status and a pathway to citizenship, as they are Americans in every way but on paper." Well, I don't know where Mr. Obama gets his information, but it must be the same place he used to get information when he was relevant to the political arena. The Center for Immigration Studies says only 0.2% of the nation's 15 million healthcare workers are DACA recipients. The president didn't have any counsel for President Trump about the other 99.8% of healthcare workers. Well, wouldn't you know it? And tonight, Congressman Jim Jordan joins us, ranking member of the House Oversight Committee, member of the House Judiciary Committee. Congressman, it is great to have you with us. Let's talk DACA here, because President Obama just can't ever let that go. Your thoughts about the former president muddying up the moment and the time and being tone deaf, that in a national emergency like this, he wants to use political cover called a pandemic for what he couldn't deliver as president.
Seems like every day the left just shows us how radical they really are. I mean, in the CARES Act, they wanted money for the Kennedy Center. They wanted the Green New Deal. Now we have former President Obama said we should give amnesty to people who are here illegally, all during a time when we're dealing with this coronavirus and the crisis that it is. This is just how the left operates. They never miss a chance to push for radical ideas, and they never miss a chance to attack the president. And we're seeing that play out every single day. It shouldn't surprise us that former President Obama said what he did.
And one has to wonder why President Obama chose this moment. It could be because reports now that John Durham, the U.S. attorney for Connecticut, who's been charged by the Attorney General with investigating the so-called investigators, John Brennan, according to the former CIA director under Obama, is the leading target, we are told.
Well, we learned a couple of key things in the last week, Lou. First, we learned from the Inspector General Horowitz that every single FISA application, random sample, he looked at 29 FISA applications of American citizens. He found major mistakes with every single one. 4 of those 29, they didn't even have the Woods file, which you're required to have under FBI guidelines as the backup that shows the evidence and the basis for the evidence that you take to the FISA court. 4 of those cases, they didn't even have that. And then we also learned from the footnotes that were declassified, the FBI knew all along. They knew all along that Christopher Steele was getting played by the Russians. They knew it. I think they didn't care because they were so out to get this president. And Bill Barr and John Durham are working on getting to the bottom of this. Let's hope that they do just that. And let's hope that this report and the investigation are completed and the report's given to Congress sometime this summer.
No one has followed Spygate closer than you. Knows the intricacies of the whole sordid web that surrounded this president as a result of the efforts of the radical Dems to destroy him and to overthrow his presidency. Yep. What I don't understand, among many things about this, is why, if the FBI was so concerned about Russian assets, that it didn't immediately look to Christopher Steele and investigate the hell out of him, because he was lined up in every instance with the radical Dems, who were lined up with Russia on a host of issues, not the least of which was the the fraudulent dossier they had created to destroy a political candidate.
Yeah. Well, never forget what the Attorney General said a year ago now when he talked about the people at the FBI who ran this investigation, the top people. He said there was a failure of leadership at the upper echelon of the FBI. So that means Comey, McCabe, Baker, Strzok, Page. They all knew that Christopher Steele was getting played by Russian intelligence people. They were feeding him information that was not accurate, but they didn't. The top people at the FBI, they didn't care. They were so determined to go after this president that even before he was elected president in summer of 2016, they spied on 2 American citizens associated with the presidential campaign. My guess is that's probably never happened in American history. But they did all that, and now each and every day as we learn more, as more things are declassified, as Mr. Horowitz does more of his investigation, as we learn more about what Mr. Durham is doing in his investigation, we find out how bad it really was. The only thing we were wrong about, Lou, in this whole thing, you talked about this for years, we talked about it, Mark Meadows, Matt Gaetz, Devin Nunes, others, we all talked about it. The only thing we were wrong about is it was worse than we thought, so much worse than we thought, and we're learning more and more about how bad it really was every day.
That's absolutely true. And when we learn, and we should credit former federal prosecutor Joe DeGeneva with the report on John Durham and his grand jury and those witnesses being called. When we find out that, that all of this is, I mean, we've watched it, as you say, for years. But to see an attorney general, a new attorney general appointed by this president, who has yet to deliver accountability for any of it, a reckoning, bring anyone to justice. Give me your assessment of what the prospects are in your judgment.
Well, I think they're good. I really do. Bill Barr has, I think, handled himself exceptionally well. He put out a great memo today about religious liberty. He said, look, if you're going to let people go to the grocery store and stand and be 6 feet apart and exercise social distancing, then for goodness sake, they should be able to exercise their First Amendment religious liberty rights and go to church and stay 6 feet apart and not be harassed and fined by local governments. So he put out a great decision today, great memo today on First Amendment liberties. I think John Durham's doing his work. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, we don't know until we get the report, until we find out when the investigation is complete. But thus far, I've been very impressed by the way the new Attorney General, not so new, I guess now, he's been in office for over a year, but the Attorney General has handled his responsibilities,
right.
And the way he has worked for the President of this United States.
Well, we're all very hopeful, and I've got to ask you this last question, if I may. House Speaker Pelosi refusing to open Congress to put it back in session until May 4th, and saying, of all things, that she might change her mind if there were an emergency. Is she not only tone deaf, but utterly blind to what is happening in this country?
Yeah, Lou, there are a task force meeting in Washington, there are a task force meeting all across this country, but the task force that's supposed to meet and handle big issues that confront our nation is the United States Congress. So where is her plan? She's great at criticizing the president, saying bad things about the president, even though I think he's doing an outstanding job leading our country. And I think most American people believe that as well. Where is her plan? Putting us back to work, getting us back. We could be in Congress doing the people's business. And frankly, the idea that we're not going to come back until after the things start to open back up on May 1st, I think is ridiculous. So show us your plan, Speaker Pelosi, and let's get back to work doing the people's business.
Well, the president has shown her his plan, and that is the Paycheck Protection Program that is going to run out of money, we're told, next week. That makes this an emergency. Congressman, it's great to have you here. We appreciate it as always.
Good to be with you.
Thanks so much.
You bet. Thanks, Lou.